Hi. Well, my glorious day was June 16th, 1979, and that was the day of my Bat Mitzvah. And if you don't know, in the Jewish religion, you have a Bat Mitzvah when you turn 13, and it's the time that you are considered an adult, and you take on adult responsibilities, and you get to read from the Torah, and it's a really big deal, and there's a service, and afterwards there's usually a party. And I was 12 years old at the time, and when I was 12, I had a little bit of a problem. And when I say a little bit of a problem, what I mean is I had a big, giant, huge problem, which was I could not stop sweating. And I'm not talking about like little sweaty palms or sweat under my, my brow. I'm talking sweaty armpits all the time. I could be outside wearing a t-shirt in 30-degree weather with no coat, and I would be like I had just finished running a marathon. It was really as if my body was like the worst functioning temperature-controlled oven. And I had like different ways to try to cope with this. At 12, I would prefer to wear prints because I thought that, camouflaged the sweat stains. And I would wear layers, like a t-shirt, under a blouse, under a sweatshirt. And I know you're thinking, well, that like makes no sense, because didn't that make you sweatier? But I needed the physical barriers to stop the wetness that came every single day like the tides. So my parents were sympathetic, and they took me to the doctor, and the doctor gave me a prescription antiperspirant. And this was before Botox, because today they would just inject your armpits for excessive perspiration. It's true. But Google it, it's true. But I was not so lucky to grow up in an era where I could get toxins injected into my armpits. So I got this antiperspirant, and it was a little unusual. It was this thick gel, and I had to put it on at night. And after I put on the gel at night, I had to wrap my armpits in saran wrap. I will repeat that. Wrap my armpits in saran wrap. And then put on the tightest t-shirt I had to keep the seal in place. And then, of course, because I was told I had a face full of braces, so then the night gear, the headgear went on. There weren't many slumber parties. And to make it worse, it wasn't even really all that effective, because I'd usually wake up in the middle of the night with my armpits burning, and I would like rip the whole thing off. So this is the background that I'm going dress shopping for my Bat Mitzvah. And my parents take me to a store, my mother takes me to the store, and the saleswoman pulls out a dress made of silk chiffon. Now, that's right. If you know anything about fabric, I don't think you could pick a less liquid-friendly fabric than silk chiffon. One teeny tiny molecule of moisture on silk chiffon, it goes, right? Giant wet stain. But the saleswoman hands me this cream silk chiffon dress with little pin tucks and, raspberry and sherbet embroidery on the sleeves, and it's really like the epitome of 70s bohemian chic. And I put it on, and I come out of this dressing room, and my mother's watching me. She's smoking. This is the 70s. People smoked, right? They smoked all the time. Movie theaters, restaurants, and even in stores. So she's smoking, she's looking and smoking, squinting and smoking, up and down, looking at me. And the saleswoman is looking at me, and her lips are pursed, and she's like, "Stunning," she proclaimed. So that's it. That's the dress. And there are certain questions that haunt me to this day. And one is, why didn't I just say, maybe this isn't the best choice for me? And the only answer I could come up with is, I don't know. So the day of my Bat Mitzvah, I'm on the bima, which is, the stage, with my father, and I'm sitting there in the silk chiffon dress, and I'm nervous because there's 100 people in the temple, my parents, their friends, my friends, relatives, and I'm sitting there, and that's when I feel it. The first droplet making its slow descent down my armpit, down my side, and it rests in the folds of silk chiffon at my waist. And it makes a teeny tiny explosion that only I can hear. And I look down and I see the first wet stain at my waist, and I know I'm screwed. So I do the only thing I can do, which is I start to pray, which, you know, given the day is somewhat appropriate. And I'm praying to God to inflict upon me a drought of biblical proportions. So then it's my turn to go up to the pulpit, and the rabbi hands me the yad, you know, AKA the pointer, and then he shows me the Torah, AKA Torah. And, you know, I start with the blessings. Baruch hu et Adonai hambarach. And with each, it's like the armpits are getting wetter and wetter. And the only thing I could do is I just grip my arms like this, and I don't move them. And I get through the whole Torah portion like this. And then I go back to my seat on the bima, and I sit. But it's not over, because after the service is the party. So I go to the party, and it's in the temple social hall right there. And the first thing they do is, you know, the hora. They put me on a chair and lift me up in front of 100 people. And they dance around me. And it's horrible. And beyond. So I'm holding that chair for dear life. And they think I'm afraid that I'm going to fall. But I'm not afraid I'm going to fall. I'm afraid because I know underneath my arms is like the day after tsunami. There is water everywhere. And as I'm there, they're dancing around me, and I see my mother at the side of the dance floor saying, "Get a picture, we need a picture." And she's with the photographer, "Raise your hands, we want a picture. What's the matter with her? I don't understand it. Why can't she get a picture? She needs a picture. Raise your hands, Terry, raise your hands. Can you smile for once in your life?" And I can't even take the pressure, so I kind of go like, eh. They're all looking. It's fine now. But I'm like, eh. And the photographer snaps it right there. And it's in the album forever. The pathetic smile, the face full of braces, and underneath my armpits, 2 giant wet stains on silk chiffon. And this is what's in the album, marking that day that I made my confident and poised entry into adulthood.
Got it.